What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and I'm here to take you through the most comprehensive NBA player prop preview for the Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. If it's your first time checking out the channel, I'll let you know I do this every single day. I share my screen, we go through Outlier, I take you through all the player props, their form lines, the odds, we talk about their matchups, the things I like, the things I don't, and I do all this to give you all the information that you need to make the best bets possible. And before we get into that preview, I just want to recap what happened yesterday. Had a whole lot of leans, and boy, did I read both of those games wrong. Firstly, on that Boston Celtics game against the Cavaliers, I predicted a blowout. The blowout occurred, but it all happened in the last 2 minutes. So when I took that angle from my player props, a lot of shit did not cap. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both struggled in the first quarter. I did not see Derek White going off, so that killed my first quarter plays. I had some really strong leans on Evan Mobley and Max Strus, which I ultimately didn't bet because I didn't know if Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen were going to play. So didn't win too much in that game. Did cash on some bets on Sam Hauser, but nothing crazy in that. And the next game happened. It's the Dallas Mavericks versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I was one of those few people who thought Kyrie would bounce back, and he didn't. He still struggled to score. The people who faded Luka, and he absolutely killed it. I was also one of those people who took PJ Washington to make some three-pointers, and he didn't make enough of those. So, tough day all around. I did win a couple of bets, but nothing I really need to brag about. For the most part, not the day that I wanted. So, rolling into this game, I'm ultimately looking at these lines for the very first time. I'm looking for two picks. I'm looking for two players, and that's all I'm looking for. And whatever best two plays that I can come up with is what I'm going to share with you guys. I will obviously take down all my leans. I'll share all those leans with you, but ultimately I'm only going to be betting on two players today. Now, if that sounds interesting, let's go. All right, so we're jumping into Outlier the way we always do. If you did not know, I've got a free 7-day trial for Outlier in the video. Not only is this useful as hell on the NBA, but the WNBA has just started and it's got very much the same data on there. So be sure to check out Outlier, 7-day free trial in the video description below. Now let's get into the preview here. Denver Nuggets won 3 straight after dropping the first 2 games of this season. The Timberwolves look absolutely stunned right now, and it's a must-win game or they're going home. So I want to start with Denver. They are on the road in this one, looking to close it up in Minnesota. We've got to start with the big dog here. It's Nikola Jokic. He had a massive game. He was unstoppable. Again, that was another lean that I had. The last time these guys played was Nikola Jokic over in points. And then for some reason, I talked myself out of taking it. So maybe I'm overthinking stuff. So I want to be pretty quick with it. So points-wise for Nikola Jokic, line is at 29.5. So far in this series, 32, 16, 24, 35, and 40 points for Nikola Jokic. Relatively the same. Shot attempts, a little bit inconsistent, but ultimately you need to see at least 21 to 22 shot attempts for Nikola Jokic, and he's going to go over this points line. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, one thing I do know that's going to happen is the Timberwolves have to switch this shit up. Like, he's getting absolutely destroyed when Nikola Jokic is defended by him. They need to find a way to stop this man from scoring, but is turning him into a passer another option? I could be. If you think about it, that last game, he had 13 assists in that game. So I think you better live with him only scoring 20. Even if he gets 15 assists, that's fine. But you can't let this man drop 40 points and get 10 plus assists on you. So I'd personally be leaning to the over on this one. On his points prop, I'd probably be leaning over on the assists as well, just given how much attention he's been drawing. Having a look at his assist prop, it's at 8.5. So it hasn't moved up to 9.5 despite the strong game in that last one. In this series, 9, 8, 9, 7, 13. In terms of potential assists, he did have 18 potential assists in that last game. A truly dominant performance from Nikola Jokic. Prior to that, though, he was getting in terms of potential assists. But I just don't know if Minnesota can slow this down. So I probably lean to the overs for his points and his assist prop. Not something that I'd necessarily want to play, though. Looking at his rebound line, it's at 11.5. So he's had 7 rebounds in the last 2 games. He's gone under in 3 out of the 5 games. 8, 16, 14, and 7 for Nikola Jokic. Rebound chances, they're high, don't get me wrong, but they're not. At the same time, this line isn't extremely high at 11.5. So we've seen Aaron Gordon get a lot of rebounds in these games when Nikola Jokic has struggled. And it might be a trend that we continue to see. Probably to the under here for Nikola Jokic, but with not much confidence. So I've got no Got no vibes here for Nikola Jokic. Not something I'm going to touch. Someone that I'm interested in playing here is Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon was a beast now 2 games in a row. I had a lean to him to go under in that last game. Not going to lie to you because his points line moved up, but he was freakish. And now we see a points line at 14.5. So far in this series, 9, 20, 13, 27, and 18 points for Aaron Gordon. Only played 33 minutes in that last game. Pretty much what he's got 30 minutes in 4 out of the game. Looking at his attempts, he took 14 shots. So nice and aggressive. Missed his only 3-pointer, so didn't take many of those, but he did get to the free throw line. So with Nikola Jokic commanding all this attention, Aaron Gordon is the guy that's usually wide open, and he's usually diving under the rim, yakking that ball. And he's also the main guy who runs on the break. So Aaron Gordon can get his points, but at 14.5, tight. So he's hit 14.5 points in 48% of the games on the season. You can see that right here. There's no real trend at what point in the season does he make it happen. But I think a good thing to look at here is probably the games where he plays at least 32 minutes. And that's what he's going to see in this one. He's played 33 or more in all games in this series. So to that in, he's covered 14.5 points in 64% of the games where he plays at least 33 minutes. So that's a positive one, leaning to the over. It is a plus money play as well. Aaron Gordon had a great game in this one, but I don't know if he's going to be at the top. He's not going to be at the top of the scouting report. I think they still need to figure out how to stop Jokic. They know how to slow down Jamal Murray, but I think they got to maintain that. So that's going to command a whole lot of attention. They're doing a great job slowing down Michael Porter Jr., and he could be due for a bounce back. So I think Aaron Gordon, his points prop could be a good look. So I'll put that down as a lean. Hate that. I'm thinking of potentially just playing a parlay as well. You can take Aaron Gordon for something like 10 points, get a little bit safe with it. Who knows? We'll see where we land. His rebound prop, a lot of interest. 6.5's the line, plus money as well. In this series, 3, 4, 2, 7, and 10. So last 2 games, dominating on the boards. Rebound chances, not sky high, but his actual rebound rate to potential rebound, very promising. Just doing some hood mathematics in my mind. Over his last 10, he's averaging 7.5 boards and 11.4 rebound chances. So we're looking at about 5 to 80% of his rebound chances he's converting into boards. So for him to get 7 rebounds, he only needs about 10 rebound chances here. If he gets 10 rebound chances, he going over based on his current rate. What we don't want to see is one of these games where he doesn't get any rebound chances because then he can't get close to it. But again, this is another play where I'd lean to the over, and it's not just the recent form. It's probably just a baseline of things. If we look at his season data, if he plays at least 33 minutes, what's he doing? 9 out of 38 games where he plays at least 33 minutes, he's gone over 76% of the time. So I think the challenge is he played a lot of games where he got less than 33 minutes by the looks of it. Yeah, played 36 games where he got less than 32 minutes. Crazy. So in these playoffs, he gets 3 and he'd be crushing it. So the boards I like as well for Aaron Gordon. Could do potentially if you're looking at a straight bet and one bet only, we can look at points and rebounds for Aaron Gordon. And rebounds here, we're looking at 21.5. So that's a plus money play as well. You do get the added benefit of him crushing one of his lines, could make up for the other. So that could be a good look as well. So I don't mind that for now. And it's not just because of the last 2 games. And it is the last 2 games, seasonal data, head-to-head. Head-to-head, he's averaging 20.41 against Minnesota. But if we apply the 33-minute filter, which we expect him to play, 4 out of his last 7 against them. So it's not crazy, but good enough to me because I don't know if the Timberwolves can do anything different to slow Aaron Gordon down. Lastly, let's look at his assist prop. 3.5 for Aaron Gordon, minus 140. He's covered this quite well. Looking at his last 10 games, well, they played 5 games already in this series. So he's covered this in 4 out of the 5 games against the Timberwolves. 7 potential assists on average, but these assists be climbing up. And I don't mind the assist prop here. So if you're playing on Dabble Fantasy or any of those fantasy type apps and you have Aaron Gordon at 3.5 assists, definitely the way to go here because I wouldn't take this as a straight bet. It is quite juiced. It's aren't great for a straight bet, but if you're doing those entries, 2, 3, 4 mans, then Aaron Gordon assists. I do like that better than the other 2. I just don't like the odds that are available. Aaron Gordon, if I'm looking at a straight bet, the PL 25.5. So this is cashed in 3 out of the 5 games. The games where he didn't cash it is predominantly because of his rebounds, but rebounding quite well over the last 2. Doesn't start the game off quite well, but he finishes strong. So, yeah, I might be looking at the PRA for Gordon or Murray. Now, the most obvious play for Jamal Murray is probably the PRA under because he has had difficult so far in this series. But let's take a look at each prop and then we'll have a look at the PRA. His point sign is down to 19.5. You can see over his last 5 games, which is all the games in this series, he's cashed this in 1 out of the 5, averaging 16.8 points. His minutes climbing up. His attempts, not very high, 16.8 attempts. He's shooting 42%, so that percentage has improved. Volume has not been there. Not shooting extremely well from 3, 35%, making too many free throws either. So he's not getting to the line all too well. Based on what we're seeing here, I would lean to the under for Jamal Murray because the way that Minnesota's been defending him has been fantastic. It's been a touch. Is he capable of more? Absolutely. 16.8 attempts. Hell yeah. If we check out his minutes, he's getting on average 37 minutes a night. If we look at the season data and games played at least 36 minutes, they're 9 in 15 out of 23 games. So then you look at the head-to-head data, covered this in 3 out of 7 games against Minnesota when he plays those number of minutes. So he's very capable of a big game, that's for sure. Hasn't been doing it as of late. So I'd lean to the under, but it's not something that I personally would even consider betting on. What else have we got? His assist prop, 5.5 is the line, minus 105. He's only covered this in 1 out of 5 games against Minnesota. 4 assists in the last game. He's averaging 8.2 potential assists, and he's getting 4.6. So based off those numbers, in order for him to, you need to see at least 10 to 11 potential assists, and it hasn't necessarily been happening because Nikola Jokic has been the one creating. If they have Jaden McDaniels or Nickeil Alexander-Walker defending Jamal Murray, they can defend him straight up. They don't need to send help. Jamal Murray finding it a little bit difficult to create on offense, so where I'd lean to the under in his assists. Now, looking at his rebounds, 4.5 is the line, plus money for him to go over. He's cashed this in 2 out of 5 games against the Timberwolves. He's averaging 9 rebound chances. Now, he did have one huge game with 18 rebound chances. That's when Denver got blown out, and he finished with 13 boards, which was somewhat of an anomaly. I'd definitely be leaning to the under here for Jamal Murray as well. So given the lean to the under on all, the safe way to go is to look at the PRA. 29 over in 2 out of the 5, though. So, yeah, look, I'm not loving any of these. Even the under, I'm leaning that way, but not something that I got the balls to bet. Especially, I'm only looking for 2 players. I'm looking for 2 players and 2 players. We've got Michael Porter Jr. So Michael Porter Jr. has been struggling. We should have an opportunity here to get him at pretty good. So his points line is at 12.5. Last 5 games, he's covered this line twice. 29, 21, 4, and 6. Last 2 games, struggle streak for Michael Porter Jr. Playing the same amount of minutes, pretty much 36 minutes a night. His field goal attempts are down to 9.8. So on volume alone, and I've been saying this every time we talk about Michael Porter Jr., the volume has not been there for me to bet him. And the percentages aren't great too. 41% from the field, 39% from deep. He is taking 5.6 attempts from outside, but he's not shooting them quite well, and he's barely getting to the free throw line. So 5 for Michael Porter Jr. minutes a night is an absolute joke. If we look at the season data, 36 games where he plays at least 36 minutes. Geez. 25 out of 26 games. Let's reduce this down. Let's go 31. So in games where he plays at least 31 minutes, he cashes this line 87% of the time this year. So you can see how extremely low this line is, and a lot of it is a reaction to what's been happening in these 5 games. So Minnesota just giving him problems right now. And look, Minnesota are going to be desperate. It's just the volume. He just can't seem to get his shots off. Just having a very difficult time right now. So I'm honestly over knowing what he's capable of and the minutes he's got. It really comes down to can he make his shots. So the 2 games where he did go over, he still shot a similar volume. He just shot a lot better percentage. But at the same time, the 3-point percentage he shot in those games was unrealistic and unsustainable for him. So, yeah, he's capable of the over, which is why I'm not going to bet the under. All he needs is a couple of shots to fall. Assist prop, nothing crazy happening there. His rebound line is at 5.5, minus 120. Over this 2 out of 5 games in this series. He did have 15 rebounds in that last game, though, which is quite promising. I think he had like 5 or 6 rebounds at halftime. So he only finished on 7, but at the same time, Aaron Gordon picked up like 7 or 8 rebounds in the second half. So the rebound chances were there in that last game. By where they will there in this one. But at 5.5, similar to his points drop, it's a very low line. I think if you look at his season data, where he plays at least, let's go 31 minutes, 32 will do. With this 83% of the time on the season. And he's going to get the minutes for sure. On the season, he's getting 12.6 rebound chances when he plays this number of minutes. In the last 5, though, he's only getting 9.6. So the rebound chances are definitely down for Michael Porter Jr., and it might come down to who he's defending. The matchup and who he defends is probably slowing him up a little bit. So, yeah, I wouldn't feel too confident in betting any MPJ props right now. Definitely leaning to the over on the points and the rebounds. I think he goes over, but it's not something that I would be willing to get somebody else to bet that too. KCP's been playing quite well. His points line is at 7.5. In the 5 games so far in this series, he's cashed his 2 out of the 5. 6, 4, 12, 3, and 16. The 16 points in the last game, the most he scored in this series. He did shoot 8 shots. He's averaging 6 attempts in these series, but he shot 75% from the field, and he was 4 from 5 from deep. So some amazing form there from Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. What are my thoughts on this? Firstly, on points. So he's taken 6 shots, and we need him to get 8 points. He's making 1 3-pointer per game. He's averaging 8.2 points per game so far in this series. So this is going to be a no bet if you bet KCP. He's either going to cash it with ease, or he's not going to get close to it. So you're not going to be sweating by the end of the game. Data, he's cashed his 11 out of 17 games against them. So that's quite interesting. He's getting a decent run. Lean to the under, purely based on the fact that he's not. If you have a look at his line, a lot of these are playoff games. Let's just look at the last 10. There's some Laker games in there. It's mostly Laker games. So if you look at his last 10 games, KCP hasn't gone over this line in any back-to-back games. So he pops off, and then he settles the fuck down. Pops off, and then he settles the fuck down for a few games too. So look, I might be happy to roll the dice here on KCP, because you can get under 7.5 for plus money. This is one of those players. I look like an absolute genius, or I'm going to look like a dickhead. So I might be willing to risk it. But KCP, the under is what I'm thinking when he's points. Let me check to see if he gets any assists or rebounds. This has been all right. Check this out. KCP to get 2.5 assists. He's cashing 4 out of the 5 games. And it's a plus money play to get the 2.5. How do I not bet this? I don't know if I can avoid it. So the potential assists are not very high. 3.8 potential assists. But he's passing it too. He's cashing it. But if you look at the head-to-head stuff, this is all the head-to-head data against Minnesota. Never hit it until the playoffs started. And then in the playoffs, he just started to cash in these assists. So I'm going to have to put that down as a lean. But what I want to do is use the high-low, which is a website I use to... Oh, you can do it on NBA.com as well. But just to see Kentavious Caldwell-Pope assists. So speaking of high-low, that's one of the tools and resources I use to find picks. If you're interested in all the tools and resources that I use, you can, there's a link in the video description called my tools and resources. It'll have all the different websites and apps I use. Most of them are free. Some of them are paid, but I've called those out. So you guys can check that out as well. It's a free download. KC rebounds, 2.5 the last 10. He's rebounded okay in this series, averaging 3. The line's at 2.5, 3 out of the 5. Rebound chances aren't very high, though. So I don't like betting on guards to get rebounds too often. So I'll have to pass on that. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Now we have to look at Christian Braun. Well, because I'm only previewing one game, so there's no need to rush here. But also, this guy's been sneaky and getting some minutes. So let me take a look. So his points line's at 6.5. He's cashed this in 3 out of the 5 games against Denver. Yeah, his last 2 games, his minutes has gone up. He's actually been taking Michael Porter Jr.'s minutes in the 4th quarter. So Christian Braun, look, he's shooting a lot better. 57% from the field, 67% from downtown. So, and he's probably the better defender as well. More energy for Christian Braun. So he could be a good look in this game if he continues to snake minutes. Michael Porter Jr. Now let me double check that, because I could completely. But I've got Popcorn Machine up, and I'll share it with you. You can take a look. So this lets me know the minutes yet. Let me move myself, minimize myself here. All right. So this is letting me know the rotations. And you can see here for Christian Braun, he plays the last 3 minutes of the first quarter, 4 minutes of the second quarter. Then the end of the third, last 2 minutes of the third, and he played every minute in the fourth. But I'm thinking at the same time, could it have been because it was a blowout? Is that a chance? Well, Denver weren't necessarily blowing them out then anyway. He's done it in the last 2 games. It's blowout related, but he's definitely getting some opportunities, is what I'm calling out. Let me flick back to outlier. I think Christian Braun, maybe for this 10-point mark that he's hit twice, that could be the play. Hang on, let me know. Hang on, before I get ahead of myself. He was 4 from 8, so he took 8 attempts in that last game, which is pretty wild. 0.3 free throws, so he could have had a lot more. Left some food on the table there, young Christian Braun. Had 11 points on the road at Minnesota. Only 4 attempts, though, but he got to the free throw line. So, yeah, there probably is a little bit of upside here. That 9.5, 340, you probably need to see a lot more volume. But the last game is promising. Uplifting his minutes, uplifting his goals attempted. He could be a live bet play, actually, Christian Braun. So if Michael Porter Jr. is sucking, shitting bed, then Christian Braun could be a good look on the live play. His rebound line's at 3.5. Mega plus money. He's cashed this in one of the 5 games, and that was a game where he had the most rebound chances and the most minutes. So, no, he's going to play those minutes. I'd probably avoid that, to be honest. Who else is there? Let's have a look at Reggie Jackson. I know he's going to get some game time. All right. So Reggie Jackson's point signs at 3.5 for plus money. He's cashed this in 4 out of 5 games. He's averaging 5.2. His minutes, very low, 9.6 minutes. But when he does get on there, he putting up shots. He's averaging 4 attempts, minutes played. He's shooting 50% from the field, so it's not amazing. And you just need 2 buckets. It's a nice number. It's a very good number. He's not going to shoot many free throws. He might take a couple of 3-pointers. But if Reggie Jackson can get 2 buckets for plus money, it might be a good look. Because whether it's a blowout or not, let's check in the numbers here. This was a blowout loss for Denver. Reggie Jackson took a lot of shots in that game, but nothing was going right for them. He got 10 minutes. Blowout win for Denver here, and he got 8 minutes. It's not great. His minutes aren't great, but the hit rate is terrific. I'll say that. So I'm not going to bet this, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hits it. I'm going to add it to my leans. No, I'm not going to add it to my leans because then I might get convinced to bet it later. I'm not going to bet that. 5, nothing happening there, and his assist props at 0.52. So Reggie Jackson points could be a good one. If you like betting on things because of the hit rate, go for it. The minutes, volume, opportunity, not very high though, so I'm a little bit hesitant. Anthony Edwards was exactly that in that last game. So it was a very popular play on the board to take his points prop. I was brave enough to avoid it, and I'm glad that I did. So far in this series, Anthony Edwards scored 43, 27, 19, 44, and then 18 points. Played 44 minutes in that last game. He was 5 for 15 in that game. So his worst game so far in this series. Shot a terrible percentage. 1 from 5 from deep. He did get the free throw line. 7 from 8. So as expected, the Timberwolves changed the way that they defend Anthony Edwards. They were double teaming him a lot more, especially if there was ever a screen set. That double was coming, which is partly why, Cat and Rudy had such strong games on the offensive end, because Anthony Edwards is being forced to pass it out. Now, one of my reservations on probably betting on Cat and Go, is I don't know if Denver are going to, they probably will try to play them the same, but I feel like the Minnesota plan for this. So my one question is, I wonder if Mike Conley's playing, because he's a game time decision. So if Mike Conley doesn't play, then the Anthony Edwards under could be another good look here, because they don't have anybody else who can create on offense. But if Mike Conley does play and he suits up, then Anthony Edwards can go back to playing off the ball, opportunities to score in better sets where they can't trap and double team him quite as well. So we lean to the over for Anthony Edwards at plus money, and maybe a ladder up to 40. That's really dependent on Mike Conley. That just in case I bet it later on. Dependent, his assists, lines at 6.5, plus money play. He had 9 assists in that game. Obviously, a lot of double teams will come in his way. It's probably Mike Conley dependent as well. If Conley is out, then the assist probably a good look. If he is in, then I'd be looking at the unders for sure. So I might even look, because I'm not pressed for time here. I might check out some articles on Mike Conley to see what the lean is. What is everybody saying about Mike Conley? Update here 6 hours ago. Only questionable for game 6 against the Nuggets. Yes, he's questionable. Right Achilles soreness. It's a soleus strain. The soleus is the calf of the muscle that attaches to your heel bone as part of the Achilles tendon. Right. That's very specific. Alexander Walker started in his place, backs up against the wall. Conley is a crucial leader. If he's unable to go, Nickeil Alexander Walker would against his place. Monte Morris saw increased minutes, 6 points, 3 assists. Nickeil Alexander Walker was getting buckets. So, giving us any clues, any edges on whether Conley's going to play or not, but he does shift some things around a bit. So, I'm going to put Anthony Edwards assists tracker as well, but I'm going to call out that's Mike Conley dependent. That's rebounds. Let me do this again. He's real quick. 5.5 is the line plus money. He's cashing 2 of the 5 games against Denver. Rebound chances aren't very great. He's only getting 7 rebound chances per game. He is averaging 4.8, so he could get close to this, but for him to get 6, because he's already playing 41 minutes a night, he might get an extra 1 or 2 minutes, do or die, but that might give him 1 extra rebound chance, which doesn't guarantee an extra rebound. So that I'm a little bit hesitant on. All right, let's jump to Karl Anthony Towns. His zesty ass. Now, I did get it right when I made my pick on him on the last time. I backed him to go over. He scored 23 points. He did leave it quite late, but he cashed it in the end. 3.5. He's cashed this in 2 out of 5 games, 20, 27, 14, 13, then 23 points, almost 38 minutes. He did a lot of stupid fouls, but didn't necessarily get himself into foul trouble too often. 19 shot attempts, so it happened the way I expected it to. I expected a lot more shots, expected his volume to improve. So part of this as well is they were taking Ant out of the game, which was forcing Karl Anthony Towns. He got a lot of assists as well, doing pretty much being the role man in those screens and dishing off to Rudy Gobert. A lot of that happens because they designed to take Anthony Edwards out of the play. Now, my personal lean on this one is the under 20.5 for Karl Anthony Towns. And I lean that for a few reasons. The first reason is he's soft as, right? You guys saw that injury. He was screaming and then he got up and then he seemed okay. He ran it off. And then he started limping every time like something didn't go his way. If he missed a shot or whatever, playing to that injury, which frustrates me from some of these players. And then he played the rest of the game. He was sweet. And then the minute they lose, he limps off the court like he just got hit by a car. So I'm going to just say that's what I'll call it. Let me type that in here, Cat. This is my own personal notes. Here is one reason why. The other reason is the home games. He struggled in 14 and 13 points at home in this series. He's also just had a great game. And who was the other player that I was looking at? KCP, right? If we have a look at his last 10 games, we can see that Karl Anthony Towns hasn't been able to put these strong games back to back, right? Especially at 20.5. Hasn't been able to do it so far in this postseason. And I think after a big game or a strong game, you should see some regression to the mean. But what we're seeing is the line is moving up. The line moved up 1 point from the last time. That line has moved up, but I expect him to come down and play towards his average. He's averaging 18 points in this playoffs. The line set at 20.5. He's got an injury, hasn't played well at home, and he just is coming back off a 23-point game. So I think the under for Karl Anthony Towns is a good look. Now looking at his rebounds, and you also have the foul trouble, right? The chance of him getting in foul trouble, very high. Rebounds, line is at 6.5. So far in this series, my man's been bouncing like a yo-yo. 4, 12, 5, 12, 6, right? Rebound chances look very much the same. 5, 23, 10, 19, and 10. So my personal lean on this one is the over. Somewhat big, but a lot of the times, I'm just trying to think, does this coincide with Nikola Jokic's good scoring games? I don't think it does. Joker's had 2 strong scoring games back-to-back. Towns, when he's on there, is the primary defender on Nikola Jokic. Problem is, if you're the primary defender, Nikola Jokic is dropping 40 points, might be difficult into the over. I just can't think why outside of the fact that there are these trends. Because yeah, his chances are very inconsistent. Just thinking about what I was watching in that game, really think to it. So I've got no read here on his rebounds. Leaning to the over. The only reason is this trend. Do not bet it because I've said that. We have his price 3.5 plus 122. He had 4 assists in that last game. Had 7 potential assists in the game. So I thought Cat and Rudy, their assist numbers would be up. And that because of the Anthony Edwards look, where they were going to slow Ant down, force the ball out of his hands, and force the big man to create. Same thing happens in Dallas when Luke Kyrie blitzed. You often find Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively. They have those games. You're like, how the hell did they get so many assists? It's because of that. And they find them, and at the top of the key, rolling to the rim, they've got shooters in the corner or, people down below ready to yam that shit down. For Karl-Anthony Towns, he did find Rudy Gobert quite a lot in that game for a lot of those dump offs, which is why Rudy scored well. So if I'm right and Bulls make adjustments to get Anthony Edwards more ball so he can attack, then these assists here for Karl-Anthony Towns won't be there. So I'm leaning to the under for that reason, but that minus 48. The under has cashed in 68% of games this year, cashed out of 11 games against the Denver Nuggets. So bet I don't think this is a good look, but if or chalkboard, if you have those available, sign up using the code DAFT. I get a little bit of a kickback, and you get some promotions and offers when you sign up using my code as well. So this would be a good look for DFS. I'm going to call that DFS. So what I'm going to do is I'll call out the DFS players. Actually, I'll see if I can put a comment in where I call out the DFS ones. Another one, Aaron Gordon's assist was a good DFS look as well. But Anthony Towns. We have here Rudy Gobert. Okay. Now, his points line at 11.5. He just scored 18 points against the Denver Nuggets, which he had done against Phoenix and which he had done in the past. But for the first time in this series, Rudy Gobert got buckets. He played 40 minutes. That's the most he's played in this series. He had 18 points. He was 7 from 7, did not. So very high percentage there. So shot 4 from 7 from the free throw line. Now, a more accurate expectation here is for him to shoot about 60% from the field. At 60%, he's probably making 4 to 5, and about 10. And then if he makes his free throw, it takes him over this points line anyway, just based on the volume. So, again, this was very similar to the Ant look. If they're shutting down way, then Rudy's probably going to get more touches. But even in these games here, where he's getting 9, 6, 5, and 5 attempts, he has the capability to still cover this line. The challenge was he wasn't getting to the free throw line very well. In this game, he shot 5 from 9 from the line, which is pretty poor, but it's also in line with his averages. So I'm not willing to bet this one for a strong game. I wouldn't take the under either, but I'd lean the over, but not enough to want to take it as a bet. Quick look at his assists. Rudy's line's at 1.5, so he had 3 assists in that last game. Crazy. He had 6 potential assists. And this, very similar to Cat, comes down to how the Denver Nuggets were blitzing Anthony Edwards to get the ball out of his hands. Rudy Gobert catches it, finds a shooter in the corner, or cutting to the rim or something like that. So it all comes down to, I might have to create a parlay. It's like if Denver, because Denver won that game, if Minnesota can't make the changes to overcome the way that Denver are playing defense, then a certain thing is going to happen. You'll find that Rudy will probably points and assists. You'll find that Cat will probably get, and you'll find Anthony Edwards is going to go under his points prop, and he will probably get more assists as well. So I could put a parlay together for that, and then put a play around. If the Minnesota Timberwolves do figure out a way to get Anthony Edwards going, then Anthony Edwards' points are going to go up. His assists probably won't be there. Karl-Anthony Towns will go under his points. He'll go under his assists as well. Who knows? We'll see. It's one game, but I could write these scripts in my mind and see which one comes true. We can probably still fall a leg short, right? His rebounds, though, 11.5 boards for Rudy. He's cashed this in 2 out of the 5 games, or 2 out of his last 5. He's only played in 4 games in this series. 2 out of the 4 games. 4, 14, then 11 in the last one. He got a lot of minutes. He got a lot of rebound chances, but wasn't able to secure the boards. So at 25 rebound chances, I think you'd like Rudy to go over. But scrapping, a lot of these balls were slapped out of bounds to rebound it. Game and series on the line here for Minnesota. I'd personally lean to the over on Rudy's boards, but not a bet that I am willing to take. Sorry, sir. What else do we have? Mike Conley. Is he going to play? Busted Achilles. Now, I did bet him in the last game, which I got my money back for. I bet on his rebounds plus assists. So let's see if that still holds true. His points line, 11.5, 4, 10, and 15. Again, I thought he had an injured shoulder, but apparently it's an Achilles. Injured shoulder, but apparently it's the Achilles. Again, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking an injured man to score some points. His rebound prop has been hitting consistently, 9 out of his last 10. The 2.5 is at minus 112. At those odds for a straight bet, how could you not take it? Rebound chances, they do bounce up and down like a yo-yo, but he's hit this number very well on the season. He's hit this number very well against Denver. He didn't hit it in that last game, which tells me he's probably going to hit it in this next one. So rebounds, pretty good lean at those odds too. Not too bad. His assists, 5.5. He has cashed this in all 4 games against Denver. 35, though, somewhat juiced to the gills, which is probably why I was looking at the rebounds and assists last time. So let's check that out. Assists, so this is at 8.5. It was at 9.5 last time. And I took it at 9.5. So at 8.5, I'll be all over that. That's at minus 120, though. That's pretty much as bad as it could get when it comes to a straight bet. The odds. Again, if this is available for DFS players, then yeah, it's probably a good look. The one thing I'd be waiting for, I wouldn't bet this now, is I'd wait to see, 1, is he going to play? But then 2, is there going to be a minutes restriction or something like that? Because if there is, because of that Achilles, then it's probably not a good look. What else we got? I want to check out Daniels. I feel like he's been scoring a little bit more than he originally started with. Where's his points at? 9.5's the line for Jaden McDaniels. Yeah, he has been scoring, but he's been pretty much hovering around that line. 0, 5, 10, 11, and 9. Minutes are up and down based on foul trouble. His attempts are very similar, though. 7, 7, 6, 8, and 9. So you can probably expect about 8 attempts from Jaden McDaniels on any given night. Whether he hits this comes down to his field goal percentage. He did shoot a lot of threes. Has shot a lot of threes in this series, actually. Has not been making them, though. So I'd be a little bit hesitant around that. Rebounds, his line is at 2.5. At one point in this series, it was at 4.5. I think it was after this game. He had 8 rebounds to start the series. Then his line went to 4.5. And then people were betting the under. His potential rebounds, very low. 4, 5, 5, and 6. At 2.5, I'd probably lean to the over. But the odds are minus 155. So again, if he's on DFS, to look at chalkboard. So his line on chalkboard is 2.5. Same as Mike Conley's, actually. The both of those two together being almost 2.7 samples. So you can run some of those if you like. I'll have a look at chalkboard for this one. Video. I'll share a screenshot that I've put together, specifically designed for the DFS stuff. So I'll put that at the end, and I'll put that at the end. Promise to sign up to chalkboard using the code DAFT, so I get a kickback. Does that sound fair? You're not in your head? All right, great. After. But yeah, Jaden McDaniels could be one of those. That's a good look, as well as Mike Conley. All right, let's see who else we got. Alexander Walker aren't available yet. Obviously, Mike Conley, the status on him will probably be a minute. But let's have a look at Naz Reid. His points line is at 9.5. In this series, he scored 16, 14, 7, 11, and then 7. Getting close to about 20 minutes a night. That last game, he was 3 from 8, but he's taking about 9.2 shots on average to get 11 points per game. He didn't make 3 points in that last game. So, yeah, I think this could be not a big one, but a bounce back spot here for Naz Reid. Based on his volume, 9.2 attempts on average. He's going to take 9 shots. I'll take him to get 10 points. He can hit the 3 ball. He didn't hit one in the last game, so there could be a bounce back spot. Let's go in his last 10 to see if he had any shames. So he had a shit game here against Minnesota. Scored 5 points. He attempted 5 shots. He was 1 from 5, 0 from 3 from downtown. And then in the following game, he scored 13 points, 10 attempts, 2 from 5 from deep, and he even got to the free throw line as well. So the Naz Reid over could be a good bounce back look. That could be a good look. Let me take note of that because he's hit this in 3 out of 5 games, and he's yet to go under 2 consecutive games in a row. He's hit it when they've lost. He's hit it when they've won. So I don't think the outcome of the game has too much of an impact on Nas. And also, if we think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to have a bad game, that could opportunity for Nas Reid, and it could be part of the parlay. If Karl-Anthony Towns sucks, we can put some money on Nas Reid to be good. Looking at his rebounds though, 3.5 minus 105. Oh, it's plus 5. He's cashed this in 3 out of the 5 games: 4, 5, 1, 4, and 3. Rebound chances 6.8 on average to get 3.4. So yeah, probably lean to the under, but not a bet that I'd want to take, to be honest. So I'd be avoiding Nas Reid rebound props. So I've pretty much gone through everybody, but the one thing I want to do now is I want to use Outlier and see, are there any players that just happen to hit consistently when these teams match up? And this could be your baseline for maybe some parlays, perhaps. Let me get the alt lines up. Let's filter this down to 150. So if you take 3 of those, you'll be cash. And what do we have? Mike Conley to get 1 rebound in the first quarter. That's got a crazy hit rate. Yep. 12 out of 13 games against Denver, he's had 1 rebound in the first quarter. But yeah, that one, that's too much for me. You've got Reggie Jackson turnovers. He's only playing less than 10 minutes a game. He's turning it over. Yeah, he's had a turnover in 4 consecutive games, and he's playing less than 10 minutes. So that's pretty wild. That's a plus money play too. Not bad at all. What else do we have here? Only under 1.5 steals and blocks. Look at this. So yeah, he's gotten 1 steal. He had 1 good game where he had 2 steals and a block. That's when Minnesota won by 26, though. I don't know if we could see that coming. The injury, minus 148. This could be a good way. It's hit very well against Denver. Last year, it's happened 50% of the time. So probably matchup specific. Denver do not turn the ball over too much. And I doubt he's going to be blocking anybody. So this gets way into the DFS play that we put together. We see that's cashing over the last 5. We've got Karl-Anthony Towns under 3.5 assists, but I found that one already. The Reggie Jackson stuff, the overs, seem like too much fun. Edwards, 6 assists. Again, that's Mike Conley dependent. Anthony Edwards, under 3.5 turnovers. That's a good one. Just to get 1 block. Okay, so check this out. So he's cashed this in 10 out of 13 games against Denver. He's cashed this in 7 out of his last 10. But in all 5 of these games, he's had a block in every single game. And is that minus 135? That's not the worst play in the world. We could take a look at that. That could be part of the effect play. Or if we do a bit of line shopping, we'll see what the odds are. I'm going to do that now. The opportunities, you know? All right, where's the block market? Jaden McDaniels to get 1 block, minus 129. So slightly better odds than the minus 135, but enough for me to want to play it as a straight bet. But that could form part of the DFS play. All right, let's see what else has an excellent hit rate. I know the Mike Conley PRA would, but again, the Achilles thing makes me a little bit hesitant. All right, let's go. What's hit in every game of this series? So we've got Jaden McDaniels blocks. He's hit his PRA in every game this series. He's playing less than 10 minutes. I don't think do that. Rudy under 2.5 points in the first quarter. So that's cash in all five consecutive games, all 4 games in this series. Necessarily high. 2.5 points is going to be a sweat. So that's not one that I'd put DF stuff at those odds as well. Conley over rebounds and assists to 8.5. Well, I'm already looking at that for a straight bet at minus 122. Or the other look could be just Conley over 5.5 assists, hit in all 4 games that he's played. But at the same time, he's got an injury. And I think if you're running a parlay, you don't necessarily want to put an injured guy in there, do you? Under 5.5 assists. Those odds, you'd want to go a straight bet. It's not a good one. All right. We also have Michael Porter Jr., 0.5 blocks as well. He's cashed this in 4 out of the 5 games. Minnesota fuels blocks in the league, though. So they don't get blocked too often. But this is the playoffs. Michael Porter Jr. is long, but probably not getting the type of minutes I would like to see. If there's anything else on the board, which looks great. Anthony Towns,
over 1.5 rebounds in the first quarter. So he's cashed this in 4 straight games against Denver. It is at -140, so not good for a straight bet. I do have his overall rebounds as a lean to go over as well. So I think that could be a good look too. Man, we're building the shit out of this thing. So I hope you guys are using my code Daft on Dabble Fantasy and Chalkboard and getting this shit ready. So a good look. Conley down 4 rebounds. We've got Conley 2.5 boards already, but I avoid that given his status. I don't want to put out a bet for you guys to follow and then does not play. So I'll probably remove that, which could take it down to 2 or 3 players, but that's better than nothing. On turnovers, nope. This filter. No better than -130. It's never up in the prize picks lane. Justin Holiday to get 2 boards. How many minutes does this guy get? He's been getting up 18 minutes on average in this series. So Justin Holiday's getting a run. You need 3 rebounds. He's getting about 4.2 rebound chances. He's averaging 2.8, so almost 3 boards per game. The one game he didn't hit, he had 2 rebound chances in 18 minutes. But since Minnesota's been, that was the first game that Denver actually won. So that play, Justin Holiday off boards. What else do we have? We've already got the cat stuff. Jaden McDaniels. Over 1.5 steals and blocks. Better than just the blocks player, I wonder. Well, he's getting a steal. He's had a steal in 4 straight games, and he's had a block in 5 straight games. He's hit the block prop. The one block he's hit in every single game, but the steals add an extra layer of safety. 2.4 steals and blocks. And we need 2. And for blocks, he's averaging 1.4 blocks, and we need 1. Blocks are better, or the steals plus blocks? The blocks. Blocks for Jaden McDaniels. Have been coming in hot in that last couple of games. The home games, he's gotten a steal and some blocks in there too. I think I might just stick with the blocks. Let's stick the blocks, Jaden McDaniels. So we see Mike Conley under. I could take the under, though. He is injured. So that could be a good look still. Jokic over 1.5 steals. That's hit in 4 out of 5 games. 48, so getting a lot of them. He's averaging 2.2 steals so far in this series. At Minnesota, he had those games. The Minnesota, they are in the bottom half when it comes to steals allowed. So it is a very recent, though. It's been hitting in the series. Actually, it's been hitting all year. Yeah, this season. That's the first game of the season here. Yeah, it's a pretty decent hit rate on the season. Nikola Jokic over 1.5 steals. Look, you might even want to break these. I'll sort through them all. I'll go through, do a deeper dive in all of these DFS plays. Post them here, right now. I asked that you sign up to Dabble, Daft. Dabble will give you $10 straight into your account. Sign up to Chalkboard. They got deposit matches. So what you deposit up to a certain limit, they're going to match with some money. So my code DAFT on this play, and then when it hits, you can thank me later. And if it doesn't, I will sincerely and deeply apologize to you guys in the next video for sure. But I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you do want to support me, go through all those affiliate links and go crazy, start clicking them. If you do want to interact with me, you can come into the Discord, or you can hit me up on Instagram. I'm pretty active on both of those things. Catch you guys in the next one. Best of luck. Peace.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.